Hi, I'm Soshana
I'm Joyce.
and here today we're going to talk a little bit about real estate and what's
Market.
happening in the market.
Yes. Isn't that something? Like when you get to think about your field, there's like different emotions,
Yes.
like anxiety almost sometimes,
Yeah.
like the excitement sometimes.
It is. I mean, I guess that's what keeps it exciting. You know what I mean? Because it's always changing. It's not, real estate is never static. I'm sure that that's how it is with accounting as well.
Yeah.
There's always, yes, I know for sure it's like that in accounting. Yes. It's always changing.
Always.
We've been for a long time, seller's market, like.
It's changing now?
It's yes. I think a lot of people are feeling it.
Oh, when would you say it kind of started? Like,
I don't know.
like September or?
I think whenever the interest rates started to really go up significantly was where people kind of really put the brakes on. They put the brakes on and were feeling a little bit concerned. But, in real estate, there's always opportunity.
Right.
Okay? If it's a buyer's market or if it's a seller's market, there's always somebody that could, benefit from real estate.
Right.
In the seller's market, of course, the sellers were benefiting because, it got crazy. It got really crazy. There were times when, it lasted a long time. I think it started like right during COVID.
Right.
Like it really was really strange and weird. And we were really concerned. And whenever COVID started, how was this going to affect the real estate market? I don't know if anybody really thought that it was going to get the way that it did.
Yeah, but probably people anticipated the opposite.
Yes.
You know what I mean? But
yeah,
they totally did. So I think it's a lot of it maybe psychological. Nothing really kind of like changed. And we say like maybe a buyer's market now. But, if you look at it, like for the most part, it has been the buyer's market. Except for probably the COVID period. Before then, right?
Well, before then, it was a seller's market. But it got really to become a real seller's market, like big time.
Okay, gotcha.
During COVID, okay, because the market was good. Like you remember 2008, it was not good.
Yeah,
it was not good. It definitely was a buyer's market, and whenever buyers put in offers for homes, sellers had to negotiate.
Right.
And then as it became a seller's market, that meant, like there were, like the demand for those houses became higher. So maybe there were multiple people looking or offering on one single house. So that seller, because there was such a demand for that single house, they may have priced their house at a certain point. And then the buyers were actually organically like raising the price of those homes. So it turned out to be really beneficial for homeowners. And many of those people that bought their homes well before COVID, their values went up significantly.
Yes.
Significantly. I had clients that bought their home and not even like just 2 years later were netting over $100,000 when they sold their homes. It was incredible. Yeah. So it can be good for some, but right now it's definitely changing. I can feel it. You can like in our industry, you can feel a change.
That's almost crazy.
It is.
But so then, like, you guys we still don't have enough inventory though, like compared to previous years. Would you say? But there's still market changing you.
Yeah, I feel like there's still a lack of inventory. I think some sellers are like the ones that were thinking about it. They're kind of like, oh my goodness, I better hurry up and I better put it on the market because we don't know what's going to happen. Okay, the prices went up, but now the buyers are not so aggressive as they were before. And when I say aggressive, I mean, Joyce, there were homes that were, I mean, I would not consider them desirable. Like, you would really need to go in and still update the house, and people were putting multiple offers on
even
these
for
houses.
Interesting.
You know?
Mm-hmm.
And that's changed. That's changed.
So less offers now, or people are putting less offers? They're coming up with lower bids. Is that what it is, or
What's happening is that because it costs more money to get the money, and what I mean by that is that the interest rates are higher. It's costing, it's costing buyers more money,
right,
per month,
right.
So they're kind of hesitating. But there are some that are saying, you know what, this is opportunity, because now there's not so much competition amongst the buyers, right? So since there's not so much that much competition, then there's opportunity to negotiate. Okay?
True.
And what's happened is that, that frenzy that we were living through before, it's not like how it was. Okay? Now, when you're presenting your house, you really need to make sure that it's impressive, it looks the best that it can look, so that people are encouraged to go and look at that house, like go and just see the property. So it's important, in my opinion, it's important, to like feature the house properly, have professional photos, done. Why? Because it's going to help the house, like really show the value in that house and really let those important things stand out.
Right.
And then that's the first part of people being interested in looking at the house, is that initial presentation.
Right, the pictures.
Yeah. And we had talked a few weeks ago, or a few episodes ago, about the importance of preparing the house for sale.
Right.
I think now it's even more important.
Would you say, though, like the price range of the house makes a difference? Okay, what I'm trying to say is like
pricing the house is super important. Is super important, because if your house is priced too high, it may happen that no one goes to the house. Period. No one goes to the house.
They don't even come for the.
They don't even come. Okay. Now.
So how do they know? It's like, okay, so it has everything to do with the market price. Then I'm guessing, right?
It has to do with the market price. It has to do with people's impression of what they see online about the house. Okay. And then they start to gauge and look and see, is it worth it? Is it really worth to spend that kind of money on this house, especially with the interest rates this high? Okay? I'm going to give you an example. We had some clients that they were looking for a house with a pool. Okay? And they're motivated buyers. They do have a house to sell, but they want a house with a pool. And the houses where the kitchens were updated, the bathrooms were updated, and they're like, oh my goodness, this is the kind of house that we want. Because they're coming from a house that it's a nice house. And they want to feel like, you know what, I am moving, like stepping it up. They don't want to go behind. They don't want to go back, I'm sorry. Okay? They want to feel like they're taking steps up, from one house to the next. And they want this house to feel as special or more special than the house that they're in currently. And so we would show them properties, and then they're like, oh, we really like this one in this market. And by the time we check and see, oh yeah, we've already, we're almost finished with the negotiations, and we should be going under contract this evening. Too late. Okay, they like another one. Okay, let's put an offer on that one. Let's call and check. Oh, yeah, it just went under contract. So that's still happening.
Oh.
But it's happening for those houses that are really
in good shape.
And it's not that the other houses are not in good shape. It's just that the difference is that these houses are updated. And these buyers are thinking, this is less money
for us
that we're going to have to spend. Okay, because they're already going to have to pay for their down payment, closing costs minus whatever the seller is willing to help them with, if they're willing to help, minus or plus they have to pay for their appraisal and they have to pay for their inspection. Okay, inspection is not mandatory, but is highly recommended.
Oh yeah.
Okay,
like I'll go for it all any time of the day, really.
Exactly. You know, so they're thinking about it. They're like, okay, we have all these costs that we are incurring. So, you know, if the seller already did these things,
then we don't have to do it.
Then we don't have to do it. But so the sellers, the ones that are seeing that, you know what, it's better for me to do this. It's better for me to update the kitchen, update the bathrooms. You know, they can demand a higher price. Okay. Of course, you have to look and see what's happening in the nearby area. You know, you really need somebody that really knows how to do a market analysis. Okay. To assess, you know, about how much you could price the house properly and you know, people be interested to come see it. So I think that that's an important factor. And our clients, they're still out looking for
houses,
a house with a pool.
Interesting.
They're still looking. They're still looking.
You know, there was this case about a month and a half, maybe close to 2 months now ago. There was this house that was like in the market. I think the asking price was probably a little over $1 million. And they received an offer, which was a little less than $1 million, like 900 something.
Right.
The realtor so recommended that the seller accept the offer because, you know, things are changing a little bit. But then I guess, you know, the seller is like, well, I want to get at least $1 million.
Right.
So
yeah, well, you know, the thing about it is that a year ago, maybe, you know, risking losing that buyer was something it was okay to do.
Yeah.
But now every buyer is valuable. So you have to really think about how important, you know, your transition is.
Right.
Sometimes sellers, they get too caught up in the dollar amount, okay? And then they lose perspective on certain things, like, you know, things that you have to think about, okay? If everybody in the area, they're like, you know, we need to sell, but I'm not seeing any activity, okay? If there's other homes in the neighborhood and they're not seeing activity, you start analyzing, like, what is it? Okay, the house is updated, okay, check. You know, the neighborhood, it's safe, it seems safe or whatever. It looks attractive, check. Well, why aren't people coming to the house? Next thing is, maybe it's the price. Maybe it's the price, right?
Yeah, the thing is, after that offer, nothing is coming through. No offer. So I think like even in just like such a short period of time, maybe a month or two, it's kind of like, yeah.
People need to really think about what's their objective.
Right.
What's your ultimate objective?
Right.
Okay? Because if your goal is to go from house A to house B, okay, and you're stuck on a certain price, and the other neighboring homes are reducing their price, you have to think about what's going to happen with yours if the other ones get sold for less. Because the appraisers,
then you're then forced to reduce your.
Well, you may be forced to reduce because, you know, you may find a buyer that's willing to pay the amount. Okay, unless they're buying with cash. Okay, because if they're buying with a loan, then typically the mortgage company is requiring the house to be appraised.
Right.
So these other houses that are in the neighborhood have gone down in price and they've sold. Let's say they've sold. That's now going to affect this property over here.
That's right.
Okay, and then the appraiser is going to come through and say, okay, well, you know, unfortunately, the other houses that reduced their price, they've brought down the value of your house. So now, even though you have it under contract for this amount,
Oh.
I'm appraising it for less than this amount. And the loan for that buyer, okay, it's based on the appraisal value.
So it's appraisal is like, guess, like just in time kind of thing. So even though you have a contract, that doesn't really mean anything in terms of appraisal then, because they're gonna use even though this house is on contract right now,
Yes.
under the contract, they're gonna, when they appraise the house, they're gonna look at all the neighboring houses.
Yes,
and
they
all.
need the bank needs to know if it's worth the amount that they have it under contract.
Right.
So let's say that it appraises for less than what is under contract.
Right.
Okay? That's stressful. That's stressful for all the parties.
Yes.
It's stressful because the bank is only going to lend that buyer up to the value
of the property.
Of that property.
So then you almost have to, if you still want to purchase it, then you have to come up with extra cash.
That's exactly what has to happen. Okay? Either that or you have to negotiate with the seller. But the seller may not be, they'll be like, what? I don't want to.
Right.
So it gets sticky. That's why it's so important to have, to really do a good market analysis. And right now, it's really tricky because you could do a market analysis now, and you have to constantly, and let's say you do a market analysis and you view what has sold in the area, area. And it works, it's good, okay? But because the market is changing, other homes come on the market, and then, there's no activity or whatever, and then you have to do another market analysis to see what is happening since that time that you listed that house for sale.
So it's moving pretty rapidly then.
It feels like it is. Okay? So in my opinion, I think that market analysis needs to be done on a regular basis to see how that neighborhood is performing.
You know how, like, for the longest time, like, there were no houses, like, desirable, I guess, houses, like, in Duluth area, right? 30096 is it?
Yes.
That's less than $400,000, let's say.
Right.
And so, is this still the case then? Like, say if the price of a house is less than, let's say, $400,000, then are they still going fast?
I think
or it's still affecting everybody?
I think that when the price, because there's different strategies of pricing homes.
Okay.
You can price it high. Some people are like, let's just price it high, and then if they put in an offer, we'll negotiate. The problem with that is that a lot of times, buyers are like, yeah, I like that house, but I don't want to offend the seller. Okay? And then we'll say, put in the offer. What's the worst that can happen? They can say no. No. We don't want to offend the seller.
That's true, though. That kind of, yeah.
It happens.
We think about that, actually.
So then those houses end up on the market for a long time because people are they don't want to put in the offer. Even though we're the ones that are preparing it, right? We're willing, but, okay. Then you have.
Well, there's this thing like, what if I offend a seller and they're ready to move out, and what if they do some?
Then they don't want to even accept it. They're like, never mind, I will not. That can happen too. But it's like,
you have nothing to lose, though.
You have nothing to lose because you really were willing not to even put in the offer, right? So if you put in the offer and then they said, you know what? I do not, how dare they? I am not going to respond, or whatever it is that they say. You're in the same place as if you did not put an offer.
Right.
You lose nothing. Then there's another strategy where you actually price the house reasonably so that, hopefully you get offers and, and people like the house and you're maybe good to go, right? But then there's also the strategy of pricing it low so that more people are attracted to the house. And
then you get multiple offers.
Exactly, because a lot of people are attracted to the property.
Remember the case, was it like last year, that somebody listed the house for a very small amount?
Yeah.
What happened?
So with that one, that was a few years back. That was a few years back. And I remember that it was right around the corner from our house on Camp Heron. And if I'm not mistaken, it was listed for $10,000
or something like that. Yeah, I know.
something like that. Yeah, I'm gonna tell you, I had people that I had not spoken, like clients that I had not spoken to in a long, long time, calling me, "Hey, Soshana, I want to put in an offer for that house that's off of Camp Perrin." Da 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 da. I'm like, what is going on with this house? This has to be a mistake. And then so I call and contacted them. They're like, no, 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 it is, So they basically created like their own bidding war, because so many people were into that specific property. It ended up selling for significantly more. Okay, it may have sold back then for above, like, I don't know, I think it was above 250. But back then, that was a big deal.
So, like, how does that process work? Okay, so I get it. $10,000 you listed. So you're going to be receiving tons of offers that are really not reasonable, like as far as the seller is concerned. Because in your head, you want to collect some amount of money from your house. So I'm trying to understand this stuff. Like, as a realtor, would you want to create so much work?
You know what? As you're saying that, I'm telling you, as you're saying that, I'm thinking to myself, whenever we're working with clients and we end up with multiple offers, we talk to our clients, we let them know. It's like every offer that we receive, we have to present it to the seller. Everyone. If it's 100, we have to present all 100 to the seller. Okay?
Oh, so you cannot just imagine. Sort them out.
Oh, no. All
so then can you imagine already?
To me, in my opinion, that was crazy.
That's absolutely crazy.
That was crazy.
Why are you creating so much work for everybody?
For everybody, yeah. And all these people working on preparing the offers and all this. To me, that was crazy.
Yeah, but it got sold at the end of the day.
It did get sold. And I don't know if that's the right amount.
Let's say it was like $250,000, okay?
Yeah.
But was it like a reasonable going rate at the time, or was it more than?
I think it was reasonable because there was work to still be done to the house. So, it needed to be updated. So at least somebody could buy it, and renovate it, and then,
So if we were to look at the house, right, given the environment at the time, they didn't even have to do the 10,000 thing then. They could have
they could have just like exactly
listed, and then whoever is interested.
They did get a whole lot of attention.
That's interesting.
I don't
know what kind of marketing thing. I still can't understand why you would do such a thing.
Yeah.
But anyways, it was interesting.
It was interesting.
Yeah.
It was interesting. I would not want to do that.
No, I mean,
I wouldn't want to do that
because your intention is not to sell the house for $10,000, obviously. So why are you creating this environment where everybody has to do so much work when in your head you're not going to accept any of this?
It drives me crazy.
Oh my God.
I get all these emails. I'm not a big email fan, okay? Yeah. And just whenever you have multiple offers, you have to really be on top of it. Mm-hmm. Whenever that happens, it's like, I try to keep an order, and, I encourage our agents to do the same thing. If you're getting multiple offers, create yourself like a little folder so that you can keep everything in order. And then, okay, I've already delivered this one, delivered that one, delivered the other. Have everything organized so that you can be able to explain to your clients each of these offers and what's the difference between one and the other. It's work.
Oh.
It's work. It's not just like, hey, just throw it to your client and then let them figure it out. No, you have to be able to assess and really know the differences of different things, because it's not just the offer amount. It could be the offer amount with the combination of how much they're asking for help at closing costs, if they're asking for help, okay? Also, what's important is like how many days inspection or due diligence period that the buyer's asking for, because some are like, you know what? I want the seller to know that I'm serious and that I'm not going to like tie up this house too long. Mm-hmm, okay. Mm-hmm. So some people may be like, okay, we asked for 10, but somebody else may say, you know what? In 3 days, give me 3 days. I can quickly get that inspector in there, get that house inspected, and let you know if we're going to move forward or not. A seller looking at an offer like that will be like, you know what? I'm okay with that. It's not tying up my house too long. If they're not serious about this house, we'll terminate and then we'll go on to the next one, right?
Yes, yes.
There's some other important dates. We have like the financing contingency.
That's right.
Okay.
That's right.
So there's the financing contingency that sometimes people understand what that means, sometimes they don't. It's getting that loan to the point where it's conditionally approved, where because you go and you get your loan pre-approved before you go shopping, okay? Nowadays, some of the mortgage companies are going beyond the pre-approval. They're getting the buyers conditionally approved before they go out shopping, which is nice. It's nice because it really helps to be able to minimize how many days of financing contingency days you ask the seller for.
So finance conditionally approved, what does that mean?
Conditionally approved means that, okay, you got your loan pre-approved to go shopping, okay?
Right.
But typically, once you go under contract, then the contract comes in and you send it to the mortgage company, and then they finish whatever final documents they need to put to submit to underwriting, and then it gets submitted to the underwriters, and then the underwriters double check everything, and then they come out with a list of conditions. Okay?
Right.
And in the conditions, usually it's like, we need to get an appraisal done.
Oh, so basically they've done all the work up front, even before they go out, find a house.
Exactly.
Oh, so condition is you already know what to prove or supply, then the loan is going to come.
Right, and that buyer is more solid.
Oh, gotcha.
That buyer is more solid, okay?
Yes.
That seller can feel like, okay, I feel comfortable working with that buyer because you know what? Their loan is more solid, okay?
Than others, right?
So then those typically you'll see like a financing contingency period that's shorter. So
Gotcha.
That's one thing, okay? Then you have the, and within that, I'll go back to this financing contingency period. Now with the way that the GAR forms, the Georgia Association of Realtor forms are, is that, if a buyer, for instance, is in a situation where they are they lose their job, okay? Or they're in a situation where something that's out of their control happens, okay? Within that financing contingency period, if that's the reason why their loan gets declined, their loan can get declined, they can terminate that contract and not lose their earnest money.
Oh, gotcha.
Okay? So that's kind of a protection for buyers.
Yes.
Okay? Now, if they go, for instance, and buy a Ferrari because they're like, you know what, I'm buying the fancy house, and you know what, I need to have the Ferrari so that it matches my new house. I can't just drive up to my new house in my little jalopy. I can't do it, What's that going to look like?
I know.
Okay? And then they go buy the Ferrari, and then what happens? The loan gets declined because they have this additional
money.
Yeah. Okay.
We're running out of time. You hold your thought.
Okay.
So we can continue.
Okay.
Right?
I will hold that thought. And we'll continue talking about that. Just remind me that we're talking about the financing contingency because we're not done with that.
Okay, cool.
Okay? So anyways, it's always a pleasure to be with you, Joyce.
Same here.
And I can't wait to finish talking to you about this financing contingency.
Don't forget.
I won't forget. It's good being here, and thanks so much for joining us. I'm Soshana and
Joyce. Welcome back.
All right. See you next time.
Thanks for watching this week's video. If you have questions on anything we covered or you'd like to ask us, just leave it in the comments below. We love to hear what you have to say about what we talked about and what you want us to talk about. Please like us on Facebook, follow us on Instagram, and subscribe to our channel. See you next time.